Welcome back to Africa 54. I'm Vincent McCory in Washington. Now, with unemployment running high in Uganda, the U.S. Embassy is trying to equip school children with the skills to be job creators in the future. The embassy launched the first ever mobile library project, which will promote learning in primary schools. Halima Thumani reports from the town of Mukono.
Skills in scientific expression, improved literacy, engineering and mathematical problem solving. These are the skills some hundreds of primary school children in Uganda may gain thanks to the first ever mobile library project called the Nile Explorer, sponsored by the United States. The mobile library is a bus stocked with books, laptops and mechanical engineering projects that travels to Ugandan schools. The project, which started in September 2017, is now offered in 12 government-aided schools in rural areas of Uganda. Deborah Malak, the U.S. ambassador to Uganda, says the $215,000 project will help promote open dialogue and build bridges of understanding.
The Life Skills Hub will help students understand how to manage their finances, understand the role of hygiene and vectors in disease transmission, and equip the participants with skills needed to truly become the future leaders in their communities and in the country.
The Ugandan education curriculum, formed during colonial times, focused mainly on theory, with little emphasis on life skills to help students thrive in the current competitive world. Susan Okecho, Assistant Commissioner of Education Standards in the Ministry of Education, criticized what she called the cram, pass, forget approach that most students and teachers use.
These are key areas that, as somebody from the standards body, we've been looking for, because this should not be taken as subjects but methodology, something that should guide the process of teaching and learning.
Several studies in Uganda have shown that primary teachers fail to teach basic literacy lessons due to their lack of comprehension. Barbara Birungi Mutabazi, Executive Director of Hive Collab, a local tech innovation hub that is implementing the Nile Explorer project, says their training will also include teachers.
The teachers are being taught on how to do or teach kids this kind of way, but also we are teaching the students with the teachers present so that they can see how this kind of teaching is done. So it's practical teaching for them as teachers. Since
2012, the U.S. government has provided the Ugandan government nearly $100 million to support early grade reading in public schools. Ambassador Malak says the mobile library project is funded through the end of 2019. Halima Athmani for VOA News, Mukono, Uganda.
Kaduna State Government is working with UNICEF and the Department for International Development to improve access to safe water under a project targeting over 1 million households in rural areas. The government aims to address challenges of water sanitation and hygiene in communities across its 22 local government areas.
Access to safe drinking water remains a challenge, especially in rural areas, with nearly 1/3 of Nigeria's population said to be lacking access to healthy drinking water sources and approximately 2/3 living without adequate sanitation facilities. Without access to safe water, children are vulnerable to waterborne diseases. A recent outbreak of cholera in Kaduna State, where over 100 secondary schoolgirls were infected, is just a reminder of the urgent need for access to safe water and sanitation.
Basically, the gastroenteritis is a waterborne disease, and from what we saw in the school, I think the source of contamination should be fecal matter, and it's with the water that is contaminated.
Taking advantage of opportunities provided by development agencies, the Kaduna State government is collaborating with the Department for International Development and UNICEF to tackle water-related problems. Focus areas include making necessary policy changes and investing in infrastructure such as boreholes and vehicles to effectively monitor ongoing water projects in rural communities across the 22 local government areas of the state. Under the Sanitation, Hygiene and Water in Nigeria project, about 1 million households have been certified as having access to safe water and sanitation. For the governor, such investment is part of his administration's commitment to improve access to public services in both urban and rural areas.
Our efforts in this sector are geared towards attaining goal number 6, that is clean water and sanitation of the Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs.
Interventions by UNICEF focuses on improving the living conditions of the people, especially in poor communities. The agency's representative invites stakeholders in the water sector to work together to impact lives.
Mission projects, which now covers 96% of the state, aims at accelerating total access to sanitation, hygiene, and safe water to communities in the target LGAs to reduce diseases burden of our people in the communities.
Poor access to portable drinking water and sanitation has been linked to high child and maternal mortality rate, in addition to other health challenges in developing countries, including Nigeria. Stakeholders expect that the Sanitation, Hygiene and Water in Nigeria project will address these challenges if sustained.
All right, we'll go to break now, but before we do, we'd like to invite you to visit our website, channelstv.com, for news and other programming around the clock. You can also find us at youtube.com/channelsweb. Still to come, meet Sophia. She was the belle of the ball at this year's Information and Communication Technology International Expo in Addis Ababa. We'll bring you that story after the break.